Hola, Charlene T. Easter here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you saw my one and only video. Today, we are going to continue the conversation that I started last week in reference to the gift of sleep and why it is so important for us to get quality rest and recovery time. And I have a very special, gorgeous guest that I'm so happy to have here with me. And her name is Alicia. And I have to say it that way. Alicia Buford. And Alicia is the founder of Likkle Herbs, LLC. And in this role, she serves as an educator, an herbalist, and a healer with a focus on West African plant medicine traditions. Her main goal is to connect the Black community to the healing powers of nature, providing an alternative option to conventional medicine. And this approach aims to reverse dis-ease and bring about long-lasting transformational change for minds, bodies, and spirits. Welcome,
Yay! It's funny. I feel like I need to clap because I can hear the audience in my head, and I'm hoping
Alicia. You
everyone's also
clap, I clap.
clapping.
We gonna clap for each other. I'm so happy to have this discussion with you. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to say that Alicia and I met through a fantastic branding boot camp,
Mhm.
and I was immediately drawn to her smile, as you can see. And just, she has to me just a super loving, kind, caring spirit that resonates and it transfers through video because we've never met in person. We've only seen each other virtually, and I felt it. So when I just read the bio and what she is about and how she created Likkle Herbs, I feel her care and concern for us as Black and Brown people and wanting us to have the healthiest lives in a holistic way. And I was super excited to know that I was going to get her one day and we were going to talk. So, Alicia, last week I talked a little bit about some of the things that I do to try to ensure that I get quality rest. And it's an ongoing, I don't want to say battle, but let's say journey, right? Because sometimes I'm more successful at it than others, even when I put some of the other things in place. And for those of you who may be here today, but did not catch my other video that I live streamed last week, it is on my YouTube channel under the live stream tab. And my YouTube channel is at Charlene T. Easter. So I encourage you to check it out. But for today, I really want to talk to Alicia to find out why it is super important for our health for us to get quality rest and relaxation.
Yes. I thank you for such a beautiful intro before we
You're
even dive in. That was like really nice. I think it's funny too because I listen to so many podcasts and I've seen so many live streams, like interviews or just like collabos, and I think I hear that a lot from the recipients of such a beautiful intro is that it's always really good to hear what other people have to say.
welcome.
Um, Especially in just like I don't know, I smile a lot. I don't know what that means. It's a good thing, I'll
It
take
is
that.
a good thing.
It's a really good thing, and, I used to be so, self-conscious about smiling all the time, which is a whole other story, but, I'm embracing it. I think that's also something that comes with age, but to your point, you talked about how you struggle with sleep more or less,
Hmm.
that's something that I can relate to. I feel like a lot of people can. Um, for me, my personal journey, because I think I'm actually still in the journey.
Hmm.
I I was like, I've always been a night owl, and I also wonder what that's about. In the terms of like kind of like in the metaphysical space, I'll probably like dive in and out of that because that's like my
Okay.
world. But I've heard that typically it depends on when you were born or what time of day you're born. So if you're born in the evening, you're going to be a night owl. And if you're born in the morning, you're going to be a morning person, or maybe it's the opposite of those two things.
Okay.
Might be. I don't know if that's true or not. I'd have to fact check that. But I was born in the evening, and I've always been a night owl. And I think a lot of that I attribute to just like poor sleep hygiene at such a young age. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like, so with
So
my dad,
something you learned over time a little bit.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like my dad, or I come from a Jamaican household, and my father, he was an entrepreneur. He worked really, really long hours. He was a painter. He painted homes and
Hmm.
like, commercial buildings. That was his whole career. And he was, I mean, I think he only retired like only a couple of years ago, and he's in his
Oh wow.
80s. Uh, but he would work these long hours, and so I didn't have enough time with him during the day. So my way of getting like that quality time in was by spending hours and hours watching like I Love Lucy and The Honeymooners. We would just watch TV until like these ridiculous hours. He would bring me like these little fruit cups, and I would just think that was completely normal because no one was regulating my schedule. So
Mm.
that is something I took with me all the way into my adult life. And my parents, they came to this country. I mean, I'm not even in America right now, but they came to America. Um, in a time where like no one was really talking about this. And then they didn't have that education either, in regards
Mm.
to like how they raised their children or even how they grew up. So no one knew like what that would mean, what the long-term effects of that would be. But anyway, here I am today. And I think like there are a lot of different areas where lack of sleep causes long-term effects in the body and just like overall health. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one of them, at least like first and foremost, and I can also speak from a lot of anecdotal stories, is just your brain health. Like, and I think a lot of people can relate to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You will see how that affects your memory over time, so like
Mm.
definitely like forgetful. That's like probably the mildest form or the mildest symptom that you'll experience. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're also thinking about like the whole body, right? So we're talking about like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, like all of that is linked to poor sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to that poor memory piece, there's a study that you'll find on my homepage, and this is something that I've talked about. I love white papers. This is something that I've talked about also on Instagram, where Black and Brown people are harmed the most from getting like the least amount of sleep. And that's coming back to just what our lifestyles look like. We have to work way harder than a lot of other races, just to
Yes.
make a living, just to like have, a comfortable life or to take care of, a larger amount of responsibilities, just based on the inequities in America. And
Yep.
so that's, what's causing kind of like these deleterious effects of, dementia, Alzheimer's, like that's what we're dealing with in higher numbers. And it's scary, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep going. I can keep talking about this at length, but, definitely jump in. I can
So
talk about
quick question. When you say it is on your homepage, and do you mean on your website?
C. Yes. Why did I say C?
Gotcha.
I'm in Mexico, by the way. So I'm like, probably start saying things in Spanish because I've been like retraining my brain a little bit.
It is
Um,
okay. If I go, huh? That means I didn't understand.
I'm not even that fluent yet. I just keep saying C. And that will probably fall away like 2 months after I return back to America. But yes, it'll be on my homepage.
And it's
It,
at treelickleherbs.com.
that is correct.
All
Yes.
right. I will put that up for people.
So that is, I talk a little bit about what I just said about what happens long term. And it's also a section that's promoting a tea blend that I've created, which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
It's, I'm looking out for us. That's the whole premise behind the work that I do and what I care so deeply about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just don't feel like there are a lot of folks that look like us in the space and like the more holistic wellness space,
Yes.
where the focus and the audience that we're aiming to help out is Black and brown folks. So
I
um,
agree. And
that's
although
what I
I
think.
live in Richmond,
Mhm.
um, what I will say is sometimes I find myself when I want someone who I know is good, right, based on referrals and looking at reviews and things of that nature, when it comes to overall healthcare.
Yeah.
Um, I I want a good medical provider, to be
Mhm.
clear, but I would prefer to see more Black and brown people, especially women, especially Black women.
Yeah.
And in terms of holistic care, I'm just going to jump in for 2 seconds. At one point, I experienced something that was very, very, very traumatic in a working situation that literally kind of caused me to lose control of my body. I don't know how else to put it. I really lost control of my body. And it was because of the impact of stress and dealing with being mistreated. That's the nicest way for me to put it, right? And I gained a considerable amount of weight in a short period of time. And during that period, I literally tried everything that I could try. Thankfully, one of my good friends referred me to an endocrinologist who I love. He's really, really good. Um, and my gynecologist at the time, who I loved, was a Black woman. And when I decided I wanted to look into naturopathic medicine, because I just was like, I have to try everything because I just don't know what is going on, because I continue to gain weight, but it wasn't food and it wasn't what I was eating. Um, and while I ended up with someone who was good and really nice and gave me some information I wouldn't have gotten elsewhere in terms of some of the things, in terms of food combinations that I have intolerances to, not so much allergies, but intolerances. I, I'd never I'd never received that type of information before. And I also, through working with that particular healthcare provider, learned that my adrenal glands were shot. And so while that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the brain per se, I know that as we move into some of the other reasons why it's super important for us to get quality sleep. I said this a little bit in the previous broadcast, but my endocrinologist was the one who really helped me understand that sleep, quality rest, is the key to doing the other things. And it just impacts everything about our life. Everything.
Yes, yeah. No, that's fantastic. I talk about Western medicine a lot. It's just like it's a hit or miss, you know? It's
Yeah.
great that you took the naturopathic path. No pun intended, that's funny. Because it's like, I feel like we have, I don't know, just think that the medical system has failed us too many times. And I am not like, anti-Western by any means.
Hmm.
I think, what works, works. And I think, we've made a lot of really great progress over time when it comes to modern medicine. It's
Yes.
just that, there are flaws, just like anything, at least in the training in that space. And, a lot of times you'll see people, and you'll hear a lot of it now, thank goodness, around how your conventional doctors are looking more at the symptoms rather than the whole body. And I'm also very, very grateful. And if you have the access and you're able to afford it, because unfortunately this is not usually covered through healthcare. And even if you have
Mm,
health, right? That's a
yeah. Yep.
whole other issue when it comes
Yes.
to the American system. But a functional medicine doctor, they're also really incredible, and they're looking at the whole body, And so the fact that you found someone who's like, you need rest, like that is a game changer, because a lot of those issues that you find are like hormone related, it's your
Yes.
body is just like out of whack. And there's a really great study. I don't know, maybe we'll have show notes after this. I can share it. One of my
Okay.
favorite papers. Um,
Yes.
but there's a great study that was shown, and this is kind of going back to what you were saying with the weight gain. But, when we're not getting enough rest, your body's
Mm-hmm.
looking for energy. And so you're looking for food. You have these cravings. You want the salty stuff, you want the carbs, you want the sweets. And those are
Mm-hmm.
also things that really activate those happy receptors in the brain and those happy hormones. So, like your dopamines and your serotonins. And with that, you know, your body is just looking for more. And so you eat, and then that
Mm-hmm.
causes weight gain, and you're probably eating later than you should be. You're supposed to eat like, or at least have a good meal at least 2 hours before bed, because you also want to give
Mm-hmm.
your body time to digest and rest, or vice
Yes.
versa, depending on how you want to look at it. So all of these things, kind of become a bigger problem. And then you see that you're not really losing weight, and even the study I was saying earlier, kind of jumping around, there was a study that was done where they compared what Americans looked like in the 50s versus the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to get about like 8.5 hours of sleep back in the 50s. And that's when people were
Mm-hmm.
smaller. We didn't have as many weight issues or diabetes, like things that are metabolic.
Yeah.
Um, and then now, like in the 2000s onwards, we're getting about 6.5 hours of sleep. And that's where you see like the high body mass. And you also see people who are, having a hard time getting the weight off or gaining weight, just like at huge amounts of speed. So it's become like a problem when we think about us losing sleep over time. We're working longer hours, we have
Yes.
technology, so you're not able to turn off as easily, and people have more access to your manager, your colleagues are probably emailing you at crazy hours. And if you don't have a good sense of boundaries, then you're just taking anything and everything and trying to
Yeah, make it work.
well,
And
yes,
and half the time it's not working, which is why everybody's talking about burnout.
yeah.
So essentially what we're moving into now is not only can the lack of quality rest and getting adequate sleep on a regular basis impact your brain um, over time, it can also impact your ability to lose weight
Mhm.
um, and gain weight,
Yeah,
if that's something that you're trying to do.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I
yeah.
I can attest to it.
I know, and that's the thing is like, I mean, I've been pretty small most of my life, but if I'm stressed out, and that's another thing,
Mm,
your cortisol levels, if that's also out of
yes.
whack, that becomes a problem as well. Um, it it does so much, like, you'll see, like, that weight gain, like, in your middle section, so easy
Yes.
also with women, right? It's like,
Yes.
we're always looking. I mean, I'm not even gonna say that, I'm sure men are also looking at that as well, but a lot of time we're not attributing that to lack of sleep and stress,
Yep.
and it's again, it's all holistic, it's all connected,
It's all connected.
so kudos to your doctor for
Oh
catching
my
that,
gosh. Yes.
calling calling
He
it
is
like
the
it is.
best.
Yeah.
He is truly the best. And I'm so grateful for my friend who referred me to him years ago because although medication was involved, and I will talk about the medication on a future live, a semaglutides. And
Mhm.
I said tides because I use two different, and I'm actually using one now, but that we'll get into. But I needed it
Yes.
because it was the only thing that stopped my
Mhm.
weight, me from gaining weight because of the stress, the
Mhm.
daily stress. And I literally was in flight or fight all the
Yeah.
time. It just didn't
Mhm.
shut off because it was
Yeah.
an extended period of time. So I know for myself, when it finally clicked for me and having probably multiple visits with him,
Mhm.
that, and then sometimes, I'm gonna say as women, men may do it too, but let's be real, we're talking woman to woman.
Yes.
Um, you know, you and especially black women. Let me be very clear. So
Yeah.
many times, many of us have learned from those who love us, right? And some who don't, that we're supposed to take the punches and keep on rolling. You
Mhm.
never take time to stop and sit down and rest or regroup. And it really is a big deal for so many things that I see on social media now to
Yeah.
get Black women to one, embrace a life of ease, which doesn't mean you're being lazy, but it does mean you're picking and choosing how you're allocating your time, which also means how you're allocating what you're going to focus your brain cells on.
Mhm.
Um, in addition to things like the nap ministry. You know what I'm saying? That makes us feel like it is time for us to stop doing so much all the time. It is not normal. It is not healthy. And we as Black and brown women have to put ourselves and our health first.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is critical to me that we have these conversations and understand that there are lots of undertones to many things we've learned, whether they've been said to us, whether they've been shown to us, or whether they've been insinuated in terms of how much and how hard we're supposed to be working all the time. And it's time to take a pause.
Yes. Yes. Please put up that X sign. That is not Wakanda, y'all. That's like no more. Maybe it's kind of like, just a
Yes,
call to all of us to really listen. This is for us, right? No, I get
yes,
it. I agree with
yes.
you completely.
Oh
I
my gosh.
I think like that boundary piece, I'm so happy that that's part of like the larger discourse now. It's everywhere, right?
Yes, yes,
Spotify, whatever you want to call it. There's all these trending terms for it. I
yes.
don't think it should be a trend. I think this needs to be a
No,
permanent thing,
a permanent lifestyle change. Absolutely.
yeah, like you'll definitely notice the changes. Like I think for me, I remember when because I was talking earlier about like the brain fog and memory issues. I remember when
Mm-hmm.
I was in grad school, and this was like 2012-ish or 2010 actually. And I was working around the clock. Like, I didn't have like a crazy scholarship or, I didn't have, money coming in from nowhere, just to like help me out. So I'm working my side job, then I'm working, late nights trying to get these assignments out the door. And I wasn't getting any rest and I wasn't taking very good care of myself. But when you're young, you think you're invincible, so you just kind of do whatever, right? And I remember like I think I would get like a few hours of rest before a big assignment or a big presentation, or maybe like
Mm-hmm.
during the dissertation period when you're like trying to get like your degree basically, and so you're working crazy hours for that final project. And I went to art school, by the way.
Oh
Um,
yeah, an
I,
artiste.
I design, such a Taurus. But I think with that is when I really remember a couple of times. That was the first time I remember how I was so zonked out, but I'm like, this is normal. You just got to keep going,
Yep.
come on, I got to hustle, whatever, blah, 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 And
Yes.
we kind of live by that. And I'm like, it's so disgusting, because your body's paying a huge tax for that. And
Yes.
again, you're so young, you don't really think about it, and it catches up to you, and then you see those effects later on when you're younger, or when you're older, rather.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, it's like I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like I could have. I wish I had thought about things differently. I think like the newest generation, they're like they do not
Yeah,
care.
I ain't doing all that. I ain't doing all that. You want me to do what?
Like, God bless those children. They have a great, bright future ahead of them. I think it's a great thing that I want that to continue. I want that mindset to be. I know that people call them brats and spoiled. I think
No,
they got it
I don't
together.
think so. Yeah, yeah. And again, every generation is different,
Yeah.
and we value different things. And
Hmm.
let's be clear, some people, I'm 53. So now we're talking
Good.
probably 40 plus years ago, right?
Yeah.
When all that hard work, which still wasn't people working as much as we work today, I don't believe, even with all the technology we have, you
Mm-hmm.
could depend, right, on a pension. You could depend on being treated well. You could depend on holding on to your job as long as you did it well. Everything is different. So
Yeah.
people shouldn't expect people to remain the same when everything else has changed so much. And
Hmm.
change is necessary.
Yes,
It
it's
is
so
necessary.
necessary, so necessary. Amen to all of that. Because like I don't know. Like I think back, I'm like, man, if I could have done things differently, that would have been great. But also, it's part of the story, right? Because you kind of
Hmm.
have to make those mistakes in order to learn.
Absolutely.
It
We
is what it
do.
is. Mm-hmm.
We
We're
do.
where we're supposed to be, exactly where we are,
That's
like in
exactly
this moment.
right. That's exactly right. And while we're talking about a variety of reasons, some of us may have experienced other things as well. Clearly, it can impact your mood if you don't get enough sleep, because uh, like you're gonna be grumpy, like, and that may not be good for your relationships,
Nope.
any of them, romantic, work, children, any of it. Because listen,
You have a story. Do you have a story?
I, 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 I don't. I get quiet when I'm really
Oh,
really tired because I am an introvert.
yeah.
So for me, I just kind of go within myself and I don't say very much. A lot of
Mhm.
people who met me probably over the past 10 years or so have a difficult time believing that I'm an introvert, but if they only knew.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Literally, I took a loved one to a medical appointment today, and all is well.
good.
But
Good.
when we were in the hospital waiting room, um, there were like 6 conversations going on,
Oh
and my
no.
brain was screaming, "Please be quiet!" It's just
Oh,
too
that's
much.
me. I don't like noise. I am you. You are me. We are
I was
twins.
like, oh my God. And like some conversation you don't mind, but normally, sometimes with older men folk, right?
Mhm.
I think of my papa, right? That
Yeah.
I think of my papa. He's good for a story. They have booming voices and they're excited about whatever it is that they're talking about. And there was a lot of excitement going on. So I literally had to plug in with my earbuds
Yeah.
and say a little meditation prayer, because we need all types in the world, as one of my good friends would say, so I could zone myself out a little bit. But yeah, like, so yeah, just being mindful that
Mhm.
we ladies are in a place where we truly have to think about the things that are helpful to us, from a health standpoint,
Yeah.
and to Alicia's point repeatedly, a holistic health standpoint.
Mhm.
And I think it's just important that we remember how critical sleep is to just about anything else that you're trying to do for yourself, to ensure you feel good, you know what I mean? And that you're healthy and
Yeah.
well overall.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen to
So,
all that. Beautifully said.
yeah, thank you. And thank you for being here. And so, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do to
Yeah.
ensure that you get quality rest and sleep. What are some of the things, tools, and resources that you use?
Yeah. So I do a few things. Lately, what I've been doing is I will try to I try to get to bed earlier. So what that means is I'm not going to bed at like 9 o'clock on the dot or anything, or I just like do
Mm-hmm.
everything, put my head down at 9 and I'm out. Like it takes me a long time to fall asleep. And
Mm-hmm.
my husband James, he's like he's the type who can fall asleep immediately on
Oh,
impact.
nice.
It's
I wish.
incredible. I wish I had that because like as soon as I turn around, he's snoring as soon as we get into bed. But uh, with me, if I get into bed like around 9-ish or
Mm-hmm.
10-ish even, I will let me be honest, more like 10. Like I can at least just like relax. Like it's almost like you're giving a message to your body that it's time for bed. It's not like you're gonna fall asleep immediately, but you're at least getting yourself like it's just programming, you know? And that's
Yeah.
kind of like the sleep hygiene, definitely like have all the lights off. I don't like the distractions,
Hmm.
because it's one of those things where, you talk about like light, especially like with the really intense light. It's not natural light. These are lights, from maybe your ceiling light or a lamp. Like if I have anything on, it's probably like a softer bulb, maybe something
Hmm.
warmer, like 60 watts. I don't remember. LEDs are intense. I can't do that.
Yes.
I try to keep things dark or, just subtly
Like
light.
them. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is really good are herbs.
Hmm.
I mean, that's what I do. Uh,
Yes. Come on with the herbs.
yeah, I have quite a few. So my favorite right now, and this is something that I kind of came across by accident, and now it's become such a big part of my life, is Tulsi. And so this is an herb, or also known as holy basil. And this is
Oh.
something
Mhm.
that's like specific to India first. Like most people know that type. There's a few different types from India, but there's also an African version that grows very well in the States.
Okay.
And so that I will have as a tea before bed. But it's also something you can drink throughout the day. It's not going to like completely put you off and you're just going to be groggy the entire time. It's something that really relaxes you. It's also a nice heart opener. So if you're
Mm.
going through grief, or if you're, heartbreak, or if you're feeling really sad and down, it
Mm.
does lift the spirits, and it smells so divine. It's absolutely beautiful. I think
Mm.
it's a very like, I mean, if we're talking about Black women, like that should be a go-to. And
Is
I've
it
met a lot of
Tulsi?
Tulsi. Tulsi is really nice. So drinking that before bed, I think, is really nice. Or not chrysanthemum. Maybe like a nice chamomile is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I also have a blend that's available on my website for purchase, and that's a go-to because it's something that I put together for myself, and then I started giving it to my family. So like my sisters, my husband, my mom, my dad, and it's essentially like a few very potent herbs that actually work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ingredients in there is valerian root, and so
Okay.
that is a bit of a sedative. So what I do is I typically use a little bit more of that to kind of really get me nice and sleepy, and I take that maybe an hour before bed. Also included in the blend is the chamomile, and that's something that you could also give to children, elderly, like anyone can handle that because it's not too strong, but it's
Mm-hmm.
actually like a nice mellow sleep state.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the other thing I think is really nice is lemon balm. So with lemon balm, you're getting kind of a 1-2 punch in that it's from the mint family. It
Mm-hmm.
also smells delicious. Another really nice smelling herb, because it smells like the name. I think it smells like lemon cake personally. And it's one of those herbs that you would mix with other blends if you want something to taste really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Also get the digestive support. So you're getting like a nice, kind of sleepy state, but you're also getting some, help with any bloating or gas after dinner. And I
Mm-hmm.
put those all together and I'm out. Like I,
Okay.
I'm basically out for the entire like 8 hours, which is
Okay.
pretty good.
And that is valerian root, lemon balm, and
Hmm.
chamomile.
Correct. And that's
Your
available.
special blend.
Yes, exactly.
All
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
So, what I'm going to say is that I was lucky enough to try the blend
Mhm.
and I added it into my routine. And I still have one tea bag left because I thought about it after the last time we chatted, Alicia. And
Mhm.
I was like, based on what Alicia said, it might not be a idea if I do two. I was thinking I was going to do something extra. So I still have one left. And we're going to see about that tonight because I'm really sleepy. I'm already just tired. And it's like sometimes those days when you're kind of, tired throughout the day. And then when
Yeah.
it's time for you to go to bed, it's like you're wound up or
Yeah.
something. But I added it to my routine. And I do think it helped me to fall asleep. Um, and I actually like the idea of warm tea, especially one that doesn't have any kind of caffeine in it,
Yeah.
in the evening, a bit before bed, in addition to some of the other things that I shared that I do most nights, to try to get myself wound down for the evening. And again, if you haven't watched the other part one of The Gift of Sleep, it's on my YouTube channel under live. So check that out where I talk about some of the things and show a couple of resources.
Mhm.
But tell us more about your tea. So you said that you share it with your family. And how
Yeah.
long did it take you to come up with your special blend? And you're like, this is it. Oh, this is it to help me get some rest.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I have always been such a fan of herbs. I think it's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I feel like it's just, I don't know, a lineage thing. Like, there's such a
Mm-hmm.
deep respect and history for, well, they call them like bush doctors in Jamaica, but it's it's something deeper. It's having a very clear understanding of what the earth provides,
Mm,
because we are very close, like just like our makeup as humans, we're very close to the makeup of Mother Nature.
mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of things, a lot of answers that you'll find in Mother Nature that can help a lot of the ailments that we have to deal with. And I talk about that a lot in my work and on Instagram. And I see also like just in my research, you'll always have like something, anything, if you have like nerve issues, if you have
Mm,
digestive issues, if you have immune issues, there's
mm,
always something available in herbal form. And so what I typically do, or what I've learned, at least through my research, was that at least with the valerian root, that was kind of my first kind of understanding. Because I was like, okay, like I know that you can find like, your yogi teas and you can find
mm-hmm.
traditional medicinals. That's another really big brand that will tell you, okay, you can get really great sleep with these options, but the amount I notice is quite small. And
Okay.
that's why I at least with my blend, I use a little bit more than what you would typically find in those. It's
Okay.
about half a teaspoon that you get per tea bag for those
Okay.
big brands, which makes sense, right? Like they have to see a profit. But with mine, I'm using like, a bit more than that.
Gotcha.
We have that outlined on my website, just like what you should expect.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're getting the potency, and that's what I saw in myself, which is also why, I think you can target or make like certain changes because we're all different. So like
Yeah.
my husband, I'll give him a little bit more. And I also tell people just to really understand like what your body is telling you. Because then you can have like a better idea of what makes sense, which is why I was like, hey, try one bag and see how that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe try, a second bag and do a two bag within a cup of hot water and see how that feels, because you don't want to get too groggy the next day. You just want to have
Right.
a nice restful sleep, feel really good and refreshed the next day.
Yeah.
Um, but that was kind of my whole thing. It was just like a lot of experimentation, research, reading like all the details. I have so many herbal books at home, a lot of comparison as well. You never want to go off of one source, and
Mm-hmm.
really like pretty deep in that information so that you have a very informed decision of what you want to include or what I wanted to include in my blend.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And it is good that what I'm hearing is you want us to get the impact from the blend that we are looking for,
Yes,
um, by putting enough of the ingredients into the blend so that, you may not have to use two tea bags. Like you
exactly.
suggested it as a possibility, right?
Yes,
But it's not that it is a requirement to feel
exactly.
like you're going to get relaxed enough to get a
Like,
good night's sleep
exactly,
based
exactly.
on the amount of herbs that may be in what you typically are going to pick up from the grocery store.
Exactly, exactly. Like I actually have, okay, this is what it looks like. I
Okay.
didn't even, I didn't even mean to do this. I just have it here because
It's
I'm
okay.
I'm
Let's see
always
it.
surrounded by tea. All right, so this is the yogi. I just opened up a little pack of yogi tea.
Okay.
So this is a detox blend. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I just want you to kind of have an idea, and you might have a better. This is kind of like the amount that you get in the yogi
Right.
tea bag,
Yeah.
um, for any kind of blend, and they do like
Yep.
a nice sleep one. And then this is mine. So I travel with tea. So like, okay, that's not lame. I am a nurse.
Yes. It's
I can help
full.
myself, but it's bigger. It's
Yes.
chunkier. This one is actually Tulsi. This is not the sleep one, but I'm putting a lot more in my tea bags because I want you to get that benefit, like you said.
Yes.
And so it's just I want people to really kind of get that experience that they're looking for. And I think actually it was a really good idea because we talked about this and the work that we were doing together before we even knew each other. And
Yes.
I think like it's one of those things where I know what people are looking for, and you shouldn't have to buy like 20 boxes of the same thing to get the experience that you're looking for, or to get
Right.
the results that you're looking for. So that's kind of, I didn't even think about that as like a, what do they call it like in business? It's kind of like your differentiator. And so
Mm-hmm.
that were
Your
kind of
unique selling proposition.
organically. I didn't even think about them. I'm like, oh, I guess
Yep.
I'm doing
And that
something.
speaks to where your heart is, though. See,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
speaks to where your
yeah,
heart is. And it's like, I want my people to get these natural herbs to
yeah,
help them in the ways that they need the help. Like,
yeah,
because so many things can be remedied from the earth,
yes,
right?
yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. Now, we have a question from Sandra, and she's asking, are you adding a natural sweetener to the tea?
Mm,
I would like to allow Alicia to share. I'll tell you what I put in mine.
yeah.
But what is her recommendation? I'm not one who can just drink tea without sweetener, though. I
That
can't. And I don't need a
used to
lot. It
be
doesn't have to
me.
be super sweet for me, but I haven't graduated to that yet. Well, for most teas, there are some that I actually can because they have a natural sweetness to them.
That's
So
true.
for
That's
your
true.
tea,
That's
mm-hmm.
a very, very good point. I'm glad you said that. So that I'm gonna like do a two-prong approach here. To
Okay.
your point first, you said there are certain herbs or certain teas that have a natural sweetness to them.
Yes.
So licorice, sometimes I slur when I say that. And star anise, I'm just using those as like the two examples that stick out. There's a lot of other examples out there, but those are always going to make your teas a little bit sweeter. Actually,
Okay.
detox tea I have has some, I think star anise in this maybe. I'll look at it deeper. Yeah, so that one actually will give you like a natural sweetness, and you're just like, ooh, I don't need to add anything else to it, and you're good.
Yeah.
Um, I don't put sweeteners in my tea because I like the natural flavors of
Okay.
herbs. I like to taste like the earth basically,
I
and
got
the
you.
roots and my aerial parts, which are like your flowers and your leaves, or anything
Mm-hmm.
above the ground. And then you can add natural sweetener. I suggest honey. I prefer things that are not, mass produced and synthetic. There's like something that happened recently with, I forget the name of the sweetener. They found that it causes cancer. I'm just like, come on. So you won't find that with honey. And I also, I'm a huge fan of raw honey because you're not losing any of those benefits like antioxidant, antibacterial, like all the goodies that come in raw honey. You're not going to lose that. And that's usually with raw honey, it's a different color as well. And it also depends on what kind you get, which I won't go into detail about that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's usually like a bit thicker in consistency. It's a bit crystallized. I think it's delicious, and all that melts in, hot water. And then with the conventional honey, that's usually darker, maybe comes in like the little bear. Those are heated to a point where you're losing all of those benefits. So if
Oh,
you want to get like a nice healthy tea or infusion or whatever you're doing,
yes.
it's like the only thing I really I usually suggest. And it's still glucose, it's still a sweetener, it's still sugar. But at least you're getting the health bennies, that's what I call them.
Yeah. The health
Deal
bennies.
with the others, right?
Okay.
And just don't overdo it, just like
Yeah.
everything in moderation. So that's basically the short answer is it's totally up to you, and your taste,
Mm-hmm.
literally and figuratively.
Okay. Okay. And I think the first cup I did do some organic cane sugar. It was a little bit. Because for me, I can do most teas if I just take a little bit of what I consider to be the bitterness off. So it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be super sweet.
yeah,
And when I had a cup last week, I forgot that I have some organic uh I have some organic wild honey in there. I didn't use that. And I
yeah,
also have some organic um, agave nectar. I think
yeah.
I'm saying it right. So I did a little bit of the agave um,
Nice.
just to take again, just to give just a little hint of sweetness, not much because I
Yeah.
just didn't need it to be sweet.
Yeah, it is totally like because you want to enjoy it, If you're not enjoying it, you're not going to do it again. And I'm all
Right.
for that. I would never tell someone, no, don't do that, and yes, do this. Like you don't want to put too many constraints because
Yeah.
the whole point is to get the thing in your body, to get this natural medicine in your system, so that your body can be happy.
Yes.
Respond in the way that you
Yes.
would like.
Yes.
Great
Now, I have a
question.
question. So, while I have been introduced to the blend that we're going to call the gift of sleep, right?
Mhm.
I wasn't familiar with the other that you mentioned, the Tulsi. Is
Yeah.
that something else that you offer currently on your site?
It is not something I offer, but I may offer. I am putting together so many different, mostly blends at the moment, because I kind of want to have like a larger range for people to work with. Um,
Yes.
and instead of like making it too specific, at least longer term, I do hope to partner with, smaller farms, sustainable farms,
Mm,
people who are, harvesting responsibility. Like that's a whole process, and like developing the right relationships and like knowing the right context. Also, I'm very particular about wanting to work with Black farmers. So
yes.
that's something that I am looking to do. And then like right now we're in Mexico, so we're kind of scouting new homes. And so uh,
Awesome.
that's a whole process too, where it's like I want to have like enough space to also kind of cultivate my own little herbal situation in a
Yes.
backyard. And so then I
Yes.
can at least offer something that, you know, I'm having as like an offer to my folks, my people, our people, right?
Yes.
That's organic, that's safe, and maybe a little bit more tailored or maybe specific if people are looking for, one particular herb. So I can be that one-stop shop. Just give me a bit of time, set up shop.
Yes. We're going to give you some time, Alicia. Mhm. But in the meantime, oh, we have another question. So this question is, do you offer classes on herbal knowledge for the home?
Yes, and I kind of like how you put that question, because I think so part of my focus, and we talked about this earlier today, Charlene, around having this as an offer, the work that I do, because I am an educator.
Mm-hmm.
So I am putting together some course materials specifically for that. That's the short answer.
Good.
But the larger point is, this is empowerment, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
talked about that all the time in our sessions leading up to this point. Is like, I through my research, I learned that particularly women who are leading up of a home, maybe they have kids, maybe not, maybe they just have a partner, whatever their makeup, or maybe it's just them, you know, they're kind of like the leaders in the space when it comes to like looking out for the health of those within their home, including
Right.
themselves. So it's kind of like if we're empowering like this one
This
body,
one mama.
yeah,
Yes.
and like,
Yep.
she wants to take care of the folks that are with her, even her friends, even her parents,
Yes.
she's a
Yes.
caregiver. Like this is something where, I want to impart like a lot of this knowledge that I have and that I am learning, because this is a forever experience for me, and I'm always looking at the latest and greatest and also working with some amazing people and teachers in the space. And so, yes, I will be offering this as an option, as an opportunity for people to learn more from me, so that they can teach others in the home and within the community, because I am all about making this like an empowerment experience. This is something that we're going to gain all of this wonderful information. I want to save people from certain situations that are not to their benefit, and so if we can do it in a natural way, like by all means, I think that's just something to incorporate.
Yes. I love that. I'm excited for you. And I want to share how people now when people go to your website, which is
Mhm.
www.tree lickle herbs, and we'll put it up in a second. Is there a specific page they need to go to if they are interested in purchasing the sleep blend? That's what I'm
Yeah.
calling it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Thanks for asking.
Yes.
User experience, that's also the world I'm coming from. So I on the homepage, there's gonna be a little shop a button. So you can go to that link and that will take you to my offerings. And so
Okay.
it'll be right now I have a sleep blend. I think I also have a lung blend that's sold out, but I will replenish that. And then there's also a free PDF. So the free PDF you can get if you just sign up on the homepage in the footer or the bottom band of the homepage. You just
Okay.
get your name, your email address, and then I'll send you a wonderful PDF with a little bit more, at least in terms of, you know, ways in which you can, you know, really improve on your sleep. And I think that's just like really fantastic information because at least it's like, you know, a nice PDF that you can share, you know, you can have on hand to reference in the future. So
Yes.
you have the free item there, and then you can also purchase one of the sleep blends or any of the tea blends from my website.
Awesome sauce. And is there a price range in terms that you mind sharing? And then people have an idea of how many tea bags they might get per package.
Yeah. So everything is like under 15 at this moment. And so I am including 12 tea bags in one packet. So you're getting a little bit more also in terms of each of those tea bags based on the example that I kind of
Yes.
it
That
just
tea bag was full. Did y'all see that tea bag? That tea bag was full. Did you see the
I
other one?
love my Chucky
It
tea
was
bags.
ground. The herbs were ground. They were ground up, and it was like this much in a bag.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, you're getting the whole leaf with me. I'm just
Obviously.
like, whatever, you guys need it. And I don't even care about like no, that adds to the potency, honestly. Yeah, we're getting full leaves and it's also the flowers that I got for the chamomile. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. They're from Egypt, from my
Ooh.
seller. And so like I don't know, I just think they're gorgeous. I love the way these things look. I love being surrounded by beauty and nature. So it's nice when you can actually see what you're taking in. And one other
Yeah.
thing I would say, a bit of a tangent. So the valerian root,
Yes.
I like to say that smells like minty socks. It has a very particular smell to it. It's just,
It's
it's
a
just
little
one of those
pungent.
things,
It's a
it
little
doesn't.
pungent. But there's a disclaimer there. But it's nothing. What I will say from personally using it, smelling it, and drinking the tea, it wasn't anything that turned me off.
Okay,
Now,
great.
I'm grateful that you mentioned it to me because I might have otherwise have been like, is this
I know.
but that is when you told me that is the smell. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And then, when I mixed up the tea, it just wasn't. And honestly, I kept them in the little bag they came in.
Yeah.
And I didn't, it hasn't permeated anything.
Okay,
But
good.
again, I do have tea canisters, so I was prepared to give her a separate home if she needed one. It was time for me to
That's a
drink it.
good idea. Yep, just kinda seal it up in there. I mean, that's the thing, it's like I feel like the benefits outweigh, right? It's just it's not to me, I
Yeah.
don't think I'm probably
It
just kind
wasn't a turn
of
off at
nodding,
all.
and I'm glad that yeah. So
No.
you are co-signing. It is not
No,
the end of the
yeah, I
world.
am. It wasn't. It's just like again, if it's something new to you, then
Yeah.
it's a
Shouldn't
new scent, and you want to be sure this is how it's supposed to smell. And once you now that you're hearing, it's got a little, it's a little pungent.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That is
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that is also the magic ingredient.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I feel like I use a bit more of that, just in the dosing or just like the ratios. Cause I want to be sure again that you're going to get what you paid for. So I'm
I
looking
love
at,
that.
you know,
Yep, I love that. So, if you're interested in trying any of the tea blends, the herbal tea blends that Alicia has to offer currently, which will be expanding, we got to keep an eye out and you need to sign up and get her freebie so you'll know when some new things come out. You're going to
exactly.
want to visit her website, which is up treelickleherbs.com. And and where can people find you on social media? Like if people want to connect with you outside of YouTube, because you do have a YouTube.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Right now, all the content on my YouTube is mostly shorts. So I
Mhm.
am giving a lot of like little tutorials here and there. I love doing tutorials, I love editing. And so I want to help the people. So I put those out on YouTube at Tree Likkle Herbs. That's my handle. The
Okay.
same for Instagram, the same for TikTok. Like pretty much all channels, I'm at Likkle Herbs.
All
And
right.
yeah, that's me.
Yes. Okay. And I'm gonna thank you for being here, but I do want to maybe put you on the spot.
Oh,
However, however, uh, however, if it is not the story that you want to share, I completely understand,
okay.
and I respect it,
Okay.
which I think you know. But I do want to say, and if I start tearing up, it's just because
Oh, no.
um, I do want to say I'm curious if you would be interested in sharing a little bit um, about the loved one you helped as to the reason why I think you really started to dig deep into this type of work. Um,
Yeah.
because it is inspiring to me. And every time I hear about someone else um, with a similar condition, literally you're one of the first people I think about because of what you were able to do. So I'm sorry. But
No,
if
it's
you feel
good.
comfortable sharing a little bit about that, and if you don't, it's okay because it's your story to tell when you want to tell it. So,
Thanks for giving me the space to either accept or
yep.
not share this. But I think it's part of my story. It's part of why I started, exactly like you said. So I think it was 2015. My mommy, and maybe she's gonna watch this later. I'll send it to her. Um,
Yes.
so my mom was diagnosed with a very, 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 very rare form of lymphoma, and this particular kind of cancer uh, is something that, for some reason, it's specific to like folks from the islands and then people in Japan. So when my mom got sick, everyone was devastated, and the thing that like I had the most fear of, obviously was losing her. I took it upon myself, and I think I did a lot that also, this is probably a larger story, maybe something I'll also share on, my social media channels, but it did take a lot out of me. It was just very emotionally and physically taxing, but I did a lot to help her to
Mm-hmm.
heal. And so my mom decided to take an integrative approach. So she was doing part chemo and then part my protocol. And there is a very, very slim chance of people even surviving this cancer. I don't remember what the numbers are, but more often than not, people will pass away by just going down the conventional route, which is just chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't tell our doctors what we were doing on the side, because
Mm-hmm.
the focus of what I was trying to do for her was to offset a lot of those side effects from the chemo, because you're wiping out your gut, flora. You are essentially, you're losing all this weight. You're losing all of this life, really,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to kind of kill the body in order to kill the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why some people don't rebound from that as well, because it just takes so much from you.
Mm-hmm.
Your vitality is completely lost. And so what I did was I did a lot in making sure that my mom was getting like as many whole foods in her diet. She couldn't eat as much, and so we were doing a lot of juicing. I flew her or basically, I put her in a space where she was able to kind of like have something available to her. My sisters were also helping as well in order to get like all of this nutrition into her body. So we were just trying to replete all that she had lost.
Mm-hmm.
Also made sure that she was, yeah, getting support. So I put together basically a team where we had a nutritionist from like Arizona. I also started working with the herbalist as well. And I also started making sure that like she was getting like the right supplements. And again, because of my research background, I knew exactly what she needed. So mom was getting like the whole shebang. She was getting like the foods, she was getting the herbs, she was getting the supplements, and she was getting like direct support just from like an entire crew. And my mom has been in remission now for 6 years. I'm like trying not to cry on this live.
So am I. So am I.
Because yeah, it's she actually typically people don't even make it this long. And again, with this particular cancer and through conventional means, people don't even survive, like I was saying earlier, just doing the chemo alone. And my mom is like, she looks beautiful. Like her hair, she has like very, very thick, long hair. It's all back. Like, you know, she's filled with life and she is who she is again, you know. And I think just to go through that process and to be so close to it, it just took a toll on me. And, you know, I feel like even now, even talking about it, I think that I still feel uh sorry, I feel like it's just one of those things where, you know, spiritually, you know, and emotionally, like again, the whole holistic system, you know, I think I I gave so much to give her life, you know, and I'm grateful for it. And I feel like I've gotten the right support in place, like, you know, therapists and just like living a healthy life myself in order to kind of bounce back from that. But like the rebound did take a while. I think like definitely a lot of PTSD because I was not the same, you know, after that. And I'm grateful, you know, and you know, we're all grateful she's still with us for something that, you know, usually doesn't promise life. So after all of that, but yeah, so that's the story. That's why I do what I do, and I know that there's a better way. And I mean, even with her doctors, I remember them saying, they're like, "How are you still here?" Like, because she actually stopped her cycles way earlier than they had intended because the cancer had, you know, basically been gone way sooner than they expected. So it was, you know, when the scans came back and, you know, she was looking good and feeling good, she wasn't as weak as they expected. It was like all the things. So that's why I always say too, it's like, you know, conventional medicine has its part, but you know, if there's anything you can do in your power to get the right supports in place, and you know, by all means, you know, because I do speak a lot about access too, which is a whole topic because you also have to decolonize a lot of facets of wellness. But yeah,
Yep, I'm there, and I'm so glad you shared because
yeah,
it's just beautiful. Like it's beautiful.
yeah,
And as
thank
you know, my mother passed away from
you.
breast cancer. So I wish I'd have had an Alicia to at least say, hey, you know, is there anything that
Yeah,
you can think of? You know, because to your point, I think, and then I'll leave this topic alone. You know, I think that it is um a little unfortunate, depending upon the healthcare providers that you have, that you can't be 100%
yeah,
honest
mhm,
without feeling like, oftentimes, as Black and Brown people, um, what you're going to be offered will be less than what it should be because you believe that there isn't just one way that things can be done. Um, So yeah, I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm
or
glad you decided to share. And
thanks for
on that note, talking about healthcare providers, we not it.
yes.
We not
It's
it.
at the top. Yes, oh, it's already been there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It is at the bottom. Like
yeah,
now, we both. I would like to say. I think I can say, and Alicia will correct me if I'm wrong on her part. You know,
yeah,
are proponents of natural and holistic remedies to help us look and feel our best.
yeah.
But we are not healthcare providers,
Mhm.
so you should do the research for yourself to make the determination as to whether or not something might be a good option for you. And depending upon whatever your current medical situation may be, talking it over with the healthcare providers that you have. So we just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but thank you so much,
Thank you for
Alicia.
having
Um,
me.
and I think this was really, really good. Now, there is one last thing. One last thing. There was something that you had on our discussion board, and I'm like, I'm so curious about this. I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Is it
Okay.
Qigong?
Oh, close, Qigong.
Qigong. I was like, what is
There's
that?
so
I
many things
didn't
that I was
Google it.
like,
I was
oh, I
waiting
do
for
that
you to tell me.
too. All right, here's the woo woo again. So, with the TCM, aka traditional Chinese medicine, there is a moving meditation practice called Qigong. And
Okay.
I was introduced to it by my acupuncturist when I used to live in Jersey City. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really know anything about it, but it's very similar to what you would see, like maybe if you have like a Chinatown wherever you live, like a Tai Chi. But
Okay,
it's
I
not.
know what Tai Chi is, kind of.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's. I don't think it's categorized as a martial art. If it is, forgive me. But
Okay.
I know it to be. It's really just about unblocking like a lot of stagnant energy within the body, and it's very accessible. You can do it sitting down, standing up, but it's something that just it feels really good, and it's you put it into practice and you do it regularly. Like you'll notice a huge change in your body. I actually think that it goes very nicely hand in hand with acupuncture if that's something that interests you or if you have access to that, because you're really looking at just again how does your body feel, what are those energies, what is going on within, and it feels really good.
And is that
um,
something you practice that helps you relax to
yeah.
get ready to go to sleep?
I would say that it's something I do first thing in the morning, actually,
Okay. All right.
because it's something that is relaxing for the body, and it does kind of add up. So if you're doing it regularly, your body is going to feel it. Like it's really a way to really center yourself. You can also do it like maybe before a big meeting. It's very relaxing for the nervous system. And then also, again, if you want to do before bed, it's fine too. There's a lot of really great content on YouTube. I'm not
Okay.
gonna name the people because I can't really remember them. I have a
That's
few
fine.
folks that are
Yeah.
bookmarked, that you can follow, and they're really fantastic in what they do. I try to find folks who are like of color. It's a bit difficult. I also try to find people
Yes.
who may be like East Asian that are doing it because I
Mm-hmm.
think even if you don't totally understand what they're saying, some of them have very thick accents.
Hmm.
It's the movement that you're
It's the
following.
movement.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then you'll start to remember a lot of those, certain moves, certain flows that feel pretty good, and then you can do it on your own. You don't really need to have someone on TV doing it with you. I like to do
Okay.
it like regular. I just do like the same videos over and over again, and if I don't have my computer with me, I'll remember a lot of those. So yeah,
Okay.
you're just I'm blocking energy that doesn't belong, doesn't serve you anymore throughout the body.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to look that up.
It's good. It's great. It's great. It's also one of those things too. If you think about it, um, this is a whole other topic, and maybe we'll do something in the future around this. But stuck energy creates disease. So
Oh,
it's it's part of that holistic thing again. It's the mind, body, spirit, but also your energy. And so they have qigong if you're trying to maybe relieve some back pain. If you want more energy, you can do qigong. If you're trying to relax, there are certain flows for that.
mm,
It's there's there's so much. It's a whole other world. I'm happy to talk about it here because it's almost like an entry into this new space that people can start to incorporate into their own wellness routines.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look into it, and then I will touch base again. And we have a yogi
Yes.
on online with us. So I'm going to tap her
Please.
shoulder, and maybe we can all have a conversation
Oh,
about
that would be so fun. I
that.
love Lisa. I love it. I love it. All of these things, I just think they're so beautiful. You got the African traditions, you got the Chinese traditions, India, like yeah, but they're also all connected. You'll see a lot of really interesting overlaps as well. So I don't think that anything is exclusive. There's a correlation, and we were the first people. But,
Yes, we were.
yeah.
Let's tell it. Okay. So I would like to thank Alicia Buford of Tree Likkle Herbs for joining us today and sharing some fantastic information about you know, all of the blends that she's currently offering, giving us a sneak peek of some of the things that she will be offering in the future that will be beneficial to anyone. But you heard her say, we trying to make sure our people okay. All right.
Seriously, it's so necessary. We need it. We need it. These numbers are not looking pretty. When you look at the
Yeah.
stats, we don't need to be dying from these diseases anymore. We can really
Yeah.
take care of ourselves and do better.
Yes. And we do that by sharing information like this
Mhm.
and passing it on. If
Yeah.
this YouTube video may be of interest to someone you know who's having difficulty sleeping or relaxing, please absolutely share,
Yeah.
pass on Alicia's information, and send them back to this channel because listen, we are all about a melanin magic mindset. That
Yes.
is what it is about here. And
Yeah.
I care just as much as Alicia does about ensuring that Black and Brown women learn to put themselves first.
Yes.
Learn to put themselves first. So I'm going to let you go. I look
Yay.
forward to talking to you again soon.
Yes.
And I thank you, ladies, that are in the comments with your great questions and comments for being here. And until next time, YouTube, I will see you then.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.